Okay, welcome everybody. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm sure a few more are going to trickle in so that you know we're actually live on Zoom also and being recorded. So we have quite a few agents that will tie in that way if they can't make it to the office. So thank you for everybody coming out. This is a class that I'm excited to teach. I think it's a class that can really help everybody a lot. If you have been in new construction at all, if you haven't really made it a big part of your business, hopefully you'll leave this class feeling a lot more comfortable with it and knowing how to represent your clients throughout the process. So at the end of the day, they're happy, you're happy, and they want to continue to do business with you. So we have 3 builders here and 1 more that's on there. Oh, 4 builders here. Heidi just walked in. So 4 builders here that are going to sit on our panel today that can answer questions, so that as questions come up, or if you have questions that have come up during past construction contracts that you've had, maybe you can talk to them, get a viewpoint on where they're coming from on things. I had somebody tell me one time, and I really like the way they phrased this, but they said, hey, people are doing the best that they can according to their level of consciousness. And so if you think of that, it really is how we react and how we do business and how we even react with people all has to do with kind of our past experiences and our level of consciousness. So my hope for this class today is that we all leave with a little bit of an elevated level of consciousness for builders, what they're going through, what their perspectives are on things. And also the builders, I think, will probably take some stuff away from us, what we're going through with our clients and all of that, so that we can all leave and work together better on things. So let me invite all of the builder representatives or whoever you want to send up here. We'll have you kind of sit up here so that you're here to field the questions. And let's kind of start out. I want to give everybody a chance to talk about their particular builder, what you have going on, what availability you have, anything we should know as realtors, if there's any incentives or anything like that. I am going to, here's a couple of microphones. And I'll just let you guys share these microphones as we have them. It's not going to be too loud in here, but we need it for Zoom. So, so if you can use those microphones on your questions. So why don't we just start with you, Doug, and Ivory Homes, and let's kind of hear what's going on.
Sure, absolutely. So my name's Doug Babcock. I've been with Ivory Homes for about 8 years and been in the industry for 20, I suppose. I suddenly feel very old. Ivory Homes. So Ivory Homes is actually the largest builder in the state of Utah, although Ivory Homes is also locally owned and operated, still very, very tight family knit. I think last year, and I might be making up some of these numbers, but I know that I'm close. I think Ivory built probably almost 1,400 homes. Ivory has over 6 collections. So one thing that's very, very unique about Ivory is that we don't just build one product type. Most builders have at least 1 or 2, but Ivory has multiples. So we have things all the way from a starter condo up into a semi-custom, kind of that final forever style home. Some of our communities incorporate many different collections. So you'll drive through, and very important when you come into an Ivory community to know that just because you walk into one model, that's not the only type of product that we offer in that community. And depending on the collection, those collections are going to vary in how much flexibility and customization Ivory offers. Moving forward, Ivory has a lot happening up and down the Wasatch Front. We span from St. George up into the North Ogden area, and then up into the Wasatch back. So in the Park City area, lots happening there. John, what else do we want to know about?
Well, I think, does anybody have any questions for Ivory? I think, yeah, and then come back.
I guess one
current availability versus what's coming on board here.
Yeah, absolutely. So one more quick also thing to mention about Ivory, and I know that some builders do this and some don't, but Ivory actually, the Ivory representatives like myself, we rotate through all different Ivory communities. So as opposed to having one person per community, it's fairly often, and I do this quite a bit with different agents. It's a situation where you can build a relationship with one Ivory representative and they can help you across the entire gamut of everything that Ivory offers. As far as up and coming availability, we have a lot happening up in the Harriman area. We have a new community that has a lot of those different product types I talked about. One of the biggest things that are happening in the Salt Lake Valley, Ivory has two very large, not quite daybreak, but very large communities up and coming. It's my understanding that Ivory owns about 90+% of the developable land left in West Jordan. And the majority of that's going to go into two large, what we call a Club Ivory, or a big master plan community with amenities. Other than that, I would imagine that a lot of us probably are in the same boat. It's very hard to get new land up and going right now. And so we have lots on the horizon, but not a lot that's happening. But some of our big communities, again, are happening in West Jordan. Currently have things in Harriman, small little pocket communities scattered throughout South Jordan, Riverton, and Draper. And then our next closest real big community right now is in Lehigh. Another one in Linden, all the way up into Provo. Lots happening in the Farmington area. There's so much that I would take more than my time to talk, but ultimately we're kind of all over the place. Yeah, so Ivory Homes has adjusted that a little bit. I know that builders are currently doing one of these. Ivory at the moment is currently at 2%. Yeah, actually, well, we can go to that later, maybe.
Yeah. Any other incentives or anything currently?
Yeah, so Ivory has a preferred lender incentive right now. We don't have any community incentives at the moment, but we have a lender incentive right now where Ivory is actually offering up to 1.5% of the purchase price to be used towards a lock, an extended lock, or a rate buy down when it's time to close on the home. That's our most recent incentive that's been put in place to try to help people calm down regarding, I'm sure as we all feel, the uncertainty of where interest rates are. That's the major one that we have at the moment.
Awesome. Thank you. Heidi.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Heidi Iverson. I'm with Nielsen Homes, and we're a little different than Ivory. We are a family-owned builder. We have a niche market, though, in mainly Weber County and a little bit in Davis County. That's why I was late. I forgot about how fun the traffic is on the way up here.
Right.
Stuck in an accident. Pardon me? It's Nielsen, and it's Nilson. There is a Niel, but we're Nielsen Homes. Just celebrated our 44th anniversary. And I tell you that because that's forever in the new construction business. Yeah, so we have a great reputation up in our area. And we also do some things like Ivory, but many things different as well. We have 6 agents, and we represent all of our communities. So we do have model homes, and I always encourage you to bring your client to a model home that most closely matches their needs, because that's a great place to start. But we have everything from townhomes starting at $400,000 to attached patio homes, to single family patio homes, to single family homes, all up to about $950,000. And again, the majority of our properties are in Weber County. Another thing that we offer to, usually in new construction, they're putting in their yard, and we do include the majority of their sod as well, and we deliver that at no cost too. So I would encourage you, I always tell people, call and get your buyers registered, because that's how we connect them to you in our system. A lot of times we find people come into our model homes maybe without you. So we always like to know that they're working with a realtor at that point. Let's see, BAC, right now we're offering 2.5%. And then we have some different promotions coming up, but they haven't been solidified yet. So I probably won't go into those yet, but those will be by community as well. We have some mega communities too, one coming on in Plain City that'll have 750 homes. And we're coming in the last few phases of one in West Haven that has over 400 homes. So we have big communities like that. And then we have niche communities too, where there's, just 10 lots, maybe 20 lots. I have always done new construction. I've never been on the existing side. And I know pros and cons in both markets. A lot of my friends do existing, but I have always had a passion for new homes. I like things to be new. It comes with a 10-year builder warranty. There's a lot to be said for new construction. Now, I understand that some people want an older house that has character and, the old farmhouse look, but I'll tell you what, in this market, if you can get your buyers into new construction, at least into a model home, I would say over half the time they convert to new construction. So it's just a matter of educating them on it and showing them what's available in the market. I also think we're new construction. I might be a little biased, but I think we're a great way to make your job easier as well, right? Because you call me and we talk about what your buyer needs, and then we can really pare that down to exactly what community, exactly what home type, exactly what price point. So just know that we're here to help you, not only with a Nielsen home or new construction, but any questions. If some of you are newer in the real estate world, you have any questions at all, we love to help you and work with you. So any questions?
Not yet, maybe.
Um, My name is Danny Hagemeister. I am with Richmond American Homes. We build all over the place in Utah. We also build in 14 states total. Richmond has been around for a really long time. Here in Utah specifically, we build only single family. So we have a few different collections or product types, from first time home buyer up through estate type products. So depending on the area that you're looking in, you might even find all three types of products in a similar location or even city. So at the moment, I am in our Harriman community called Jackson. We're also selling our Teton Ranch community from that community. I personally have been in our Layton, Syracuse, all the way out to Eagle Mountain. And so I can help direct you to the right community for your buyers, but we don't sell in all of them, just our own, until we maybe move to a different one. But at the moment, we are doing 3% BAC. I don't know how long that will be lasting for, but we'll see. And we have availability in all of our communities at the moment. So no waiting lists, no bidding, no nothing. We have at least 1 or 2 lots available everywhere. If you bring your buyer in, you at least know that they'll have options and they won't end up on a waiting list that maybe they eventually get priced out of. If it's something that we have released and available for sale, that price is that price. So if they're ready to go to contract right away, you'll know exactly what they're going to go under contract for. The other thing that we're doing is we're only partially speccing our homes. So we're pre-planning the house on the lot with structural options, but your buyer gets to go to the design center themselves. So that is completely in their control, price-wise and preferences-wise. At the moment, most of our communities are offering an incentive for the design center. This is pretty new, just with the recent market change. I don't know how long that will last for, but at the moment, we've been doing that for about the last month or so. And another incentive that we have offered since I've started working at Richmond is an incentive for using our preferred lender. It is $15,000 or $20,000, depending on which community it is here in Harriman. It's a little bit different from community to community. That is for using our preferred lender. Our preferred lender is a sister company of ours. So we're able to offer quite a big incentive. And if we don't use all of that towards normal closing costs, they'll typically be able to buy down their rate or do other things. So yeah. Any
Awesome.
questions?
Perfect. One question I have. So with Richmond, you're all sitting in your own communities. And a lot of builders are that way. Well, tell me this, because as agents, I can tell you, speaking from an outside agent, there's a real advantage. There's a real benefit to us being able to have a contact at a builder. It's hard to
Yeah.
have 14 contacts at a builder.
Yeah.
So in that situation, like, let's say that we have a client, I know that you're in Harriman, but let's say that we have a client that wants to go up to, North Salt Lake or something like that. Can we call you and say, hey, what do you have up there and who would you
Yeah,
work with?
definitely. It is, even though we don't sell into other communities, it's definitely helpful to build a relationship with someone that you trust. We can either refer you over to a community after narrowing down what your buyer is looking for so that you're not going on a hunt across all of our communities to try and figure that out yourself. The other thing is that when we have a home that we consider a quick move-in, anyone can actually sell that home. So if you have the relationship with with an agent with Richmond, they can sell you any quick move-in regardless of which community it is. So either to point you in the right direction or actually help you.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
I hate listening to my voice talk. So I don't know if you'll ever see me do reels, but that's the trend. So I'm gonna have to jump on that bandwagon, I guess. So I'm Brady Jacks. I work with Edge Homes. I've been there about 9 years and I've loved every minute. I just recently partnered with 2 other agents, Kyle Haskell and Jack Andrews. So the 3 of us, we don't sit models. We're non-model agents. So if you're busy on a Saturday and you've got a client, you don't want to lose them, we're your secretaries. So we will take them wherever they want to go, spend the whole day with them, and then put you on the contract. A lot of agents do that with us. Recently purchased a party bus. So our first tour, this is just our group, not Edge, but our first tour is June 15th. So if you want to put a tour together with clients or agents, we'll feed you lunch and take you on a tour of all our communities. It's kind of fun. We're just starting that. But Edge Homes has 2 communities in Harriman, just off 134th, just across from that big new outdoor Riverton Mall, shopping mall, just below the Mountain Ridge High School. From the Mountain Ridge High School all the way down to 134 South. It's a huge community. And one on 126 South all the way west till you see the Antelope. And so that's where we're at, just in Harriman. Then we've got a huge, massive 5-year project in Saratoga Springs. Actually 2 projects. We're part of the wildflower community. It's a big, I'd say like a Daybreak. There'll be multiple builders in there. We have 2 different pieces of land in that community, and 3 communities in Lehigh. And so we're just concentrated right here in this area of the valley. We have more projects coming on down south that are huge projects. So I'm excited about that. But we pay 3% commission, and we're not going to change. So that's just, we're very pro realtor. That's the way we are, and that's the way we'll always be. We guarantee your price when you go on to contract. It will not raise. So I know there's been a lot of concerns about that. I've seen a lot of contracts go up in price. As a matter of fact, when you receive an acceptance notification, the first thing that comes out that your buyer will see is this price is guaranteed not to change. So it's very comforting. And within a week, we'll have a guaranteed rate lock during the entire build of your process. So you'll have a guaranteed rate lock and a guaranteed price. They'll know their purchase price, except, if they add 100,000 in upgrades, then that's a different, their price will change, but that's in their control.
How do you get a rate lock so long? I mean, it's the build time. How do you get a rate lock that long?
They're putting that together with their profit margins. They'll just guarantee it. Yep. That's where I know there's banks that are doing that right now. There's other lenders who are doing 12-month rate lock right now. We've got clients that have locked in their rate already, and they just went under contract. So that's probably the trend where everybody's going to go. They want to stay competitive. They're going to have to go that route in order to be a player in the business.
Which I think that's huge, especially right now with new construction, because new construction, you can very easily be 12 months out. And in a market like we're in right now, buyers that are thinking in 12 months, rates are going to be 12%, hopefully they're not, but that's how their minds are. If they can have some sort of comfort there, some sort of comfort level, that's awesome.
Is that only with your current lender, or is that with their lender as well?
No, we don't have any control over whatever lender they go with, but that's with our preferred lender. Yeah.
I left off one really important thing. We are not building from the ground up anymore. We have 100% quick move-in homes. So we will build 350 homes this year, quick move-in homes. And we will make them available 45 to 60 days before completion. And we have a new program just this last week, that the Buy It Now program. So without the competition and the bidding as well. So that's a huge piece I left out. That's important.
That's awesome.
Program. So you either, yeah, maybe if you don't sell them, then you go to a bidding thing.
No, so it's available for one day, and it can have multiple offers, but after that first day, the first offer in at full price will get it.
So it's first
So,
come, first served.
uh-huh.
Oh, after the first.
After the first day. Yeah, we have a lot of spec homes. I mean, even right now, it's surprising to me. And we're selling a lot, but they're coming online really easy. We changed this business model about 9 months ago. So we started ramping up, but now they're all hitting the market. So there's quite a inventory.
2.5.
So we have a lot of inventory. I think everybody right now has a lot of inventory, quite possibly. There's been a lot of cancellations because of the interest rates going up. People can't qualify. And so your clients can get, lock up something without doing a highest and best bid. So the market's changed.
Yeah,
Which is nice.
So think about the calls you can make to your clients. I mean, all of us over the past year, everybody's been conditioned to think, I'm so tired of getting beat out, right? Everybody just feels like I'm going to get beat out. So you have those buyers, probably everybody has buyers that have cooled off, just said, I just can't do it anymore. I've lost 5 homes, you know. If you can make that call and say, hey, we've got some options here. There's some sitting inventory out there. We won't be in a bidding war, and possibly we can lock in an interest rate. You could be a hero to them right now. So use that. So, yep.
Do any of you have, I like, I'm sort of looking to say first time home buyer. What's the true bottom line? You know, like, what are you closing at? Not what's the starting at. What are you seeing closing at the bottom?
Like single family or condos or townhomes or what?
Okay, so let's just say, yeah, just.
So like condos are 400, townhomes 5.
And that's the end contract price. That's not like after. you know what I
Well,
mean?
that's base price.
Okay, so,
Okay, if you want to add upgrades or not.
so I'm wondering about like actual like contract price after everything's done. What are we seeing? What's the final price?
You could have a nice condo for 402, a nice townhome for 5, right, decked out 530, like put 30,000 in upgrade. You have it for 20 and have a really nice 520. And then single families weren't to upgrade like 630.
I think probably everybody up here, well, I think your price range is going to be between about 400 and $1 million. That's what you're looking at right now.
Right. I was
Right.
just thinking first time home buyer. Yeah, what's the low end?
Yeah. Low end right now is about 400 on anything, new construction.
So,
That's
$399
yeah,
Yep.
for
prices.
For
Yep.
us, we have a few of our communities that are going to be a little bit more drive to qualify. So if we're going out to Stansbury, or we're going out to Eagle Mountain, or we're going down to Salem Payson, we can be in a single family in our first time home buyer product for right around 5 at all in, depending on what it is. And in our first time home buyer product, we're able to offer it for lower price point than our normal product because we finish them with a crawl space as opposed to an unfinished basement. That takes money off of the top right away. But even in that product, we go up to 2,600 finished square feet. So there's pretty much something that fits for everyone in those communities when they aren't going to use that unfinished basement anyways.
Perfect. Well, let's kind of jump into this, and I'm gonna, you guys can sit down and jump in when you want, or you can hang out up here, whatever works best. So we can travel with my phone if there's questions or anything like that. So thank you so much. So you can see there's a lot of options, which I think this is exciting. And what's crazy about it is it's happened so quickly. Doug and I were just talking about this. couple months ago, it would have been a couple months ago, it would have been a completely different story from these builders, but there's inventory now. There's things to sell, and interest rates, although everybody took it, a couple weeks ago, now it seems like they're leveling out, and there's options out there possibly for long-term rates. So think about that a little bit. So I want to jump into this. So I entitled the class, Hey Builders, Why You Got to Be Like That, right? Because I had so many questions. It's like, I just don't understand this, or why do they make me do this, or da 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 da. And like going back into the introduction, perspective is really important here. So let's kind of dive into it, perspective, and I think we're going to understand a little bit better. And when we understand, we're going to be able to set the right expectations with our clients. That's probably the biggest thing that's going to get you in trouble in this market, is not setting the right expectations for your clients. Okay. And let me tell you what, if you don't set up the expectations for your clients, you can say, oh, that builder this or that builder that throughout the process. But at the end of the day, it's going to reflect on you as the agent, right? You can say, oh yeah, the builder just didn't do that right, or they said this wrong or whatever. But guess what? At the end of the day, they're going to have a sour taste in the mouth, and that sour taste in the mouth is going to have to do with everybody involved in the transaction, and you're there. So the chance of getting a repeat buyer for somebody like that gets really, really difficult. So let's make sure we're setting expectations, we understand the process, and that we're doing things correctly. So kind of jumping into this. So let's start out. We're going to go through this process. I know we only have about a half an hour left, so we're going to kind of go quickly through this stuff. But some of it's going to be really basic, and some of it we'll dive in a little bit deeper. But I want to start out just with, when you're starting the process with anybody, first thing they're going to be doing is looking at model homes, right? Going out to model homes. So with that model homes, how are we handling it? Because a lot of times what we see is the people go, and at the front door, they see this sign, right? Agents must be accompanied by, or must accompany their clients. Okay. Here's the question. Why? Why is this out here? Because this isn't a friendly sign, right? Like if I were a builder, it'd be really hard for me to ever put this on the front of my model, because I think it's not a positive message. It's not a good place to start. So this is a tough sign. So why is it out there? Let's talk about that.
A lot of times your clients don't understand the relationship that they have with their agent, or the legal relationship. And we could go on and go ahead and write them up, and then all of a sudden they're under a buyer broker agreement. We didn't know. They didn't tell us. And then it causes problems.
It gets messy really quickly, right, Danny?
For us, our most important factor is just that you're the procuring cause for the transaction.
Mhm.
So we are 100% happy to have an agent on the contract with their buyers, but we want you to be the reason that they came to Richmond. We have a similar sign in our office that says you need to be there on the first visit, but really we just want you to have, you can reach out to us. We can pre-register you with your buyer. Super simple. As long as you are the reason that they got to Richmond, we want to pay you for it.
Right, exactly. And let me go, Brian, did you have a question? Hold on one second.
So yeah, the one client that does this, right? So we do our best to instruct our clients that they need to let us know, and we'd be happy with them. But we all know that they see a model somewhere, they're driving by, they want to stop in. Is it sufficient then in those situations where they do mention it though at the first
Yeah.
you open? Are you understanding a little bit? Because sometimes there's only so much. They just, we're not going to be able to be with them every time they're driving around.
Yeah, and we have that conversation with them. So as long as they say, oh yeah, we've been working with so-and-so, we get your information from them and everything's great. The only time that it gets really complicated is we've done a contract and 3 weeks later you call me and say, hey, you put my buyers under contract when your buyers, after being asked, never mentioned you.
Is there anything else in addition that we can do as agents if we know we have a client that's really starting to narrow in on one of the builders?
Mhm.
And we know, they might be stopping in at different spots? Can we notify you ahead of time, let you know as agents as
Definitely.
well, and say, hey, just so you know, I'm working with this family. There's a chance they might stop by without me.
Here, here's the reality, and this sign, we see it up there, but I always try to preach this. It's a relationship business. Go have relationships with your model home agents. If they know you and they know that you're a good realtor, they don't have any interest in stealing a deal out from under you. Okay, when I sold new construction, I came to the aha moment really quickly in my career there, that when I was sitting in front of two people, a home buyer and an agent, which one was worth more commission check to me? The agent, right? These guys want to have relationships with agents because that means multiple deals. Okay, so they're not out there trying to steal a deal away. If they are, they don't understand how to be successful in their industry. So I don't think that that sign is up there for that. I don't think that they're looking for a loophole to take that person away. But here's the reality, and here's the warning that I will give you. Buyers are conditioned to think they might get a different deal if they don't have a realtor, right? And with that being said, a lot of times the buyer will go into a model agent. The model agent will say, hey, you working with Betty? No, I'm not. They might have a buyer broker agreement there. So we as agents, we've got to be careful on that. And we need to prep our people and make them realize it's probably not going to be a different deal. I don't know. Do you guys offer different deals for somebody with an
No.
agent versus without? Okay. None of these builders are offering a different purchase price if they don't have an agent, right? We need to educate our buyers on that, okay? So that they realize it's like, hey, I have somebody that's here to protect me, because they look at you as somebody to protect them, right? But in their mind, it's like, what is that worth to me? And if I think I can save $20,000 on this house, well, it might be okay to push them to the side. If they realize it's the same price, they're not going to try to do that. They're going to be more than happy to say, yeah, I'm working with so-and-so, and it's not going to be a problem. But we need to educate them from the get-go, okay? And even your existing home buyers, those that you think are not looking at new construction, guess what? They are, okay? Has anybody gotten that call on a Monday? It's like, oh yeah, we were out and we just stopped into a couple models, so because they're there. And what is your heart? All right, I'm gonna have to reach out to these model home agents. You know, what happened? Did you tell them I was working with you? No, I mean, we were just there. We were driving by. We saw it. We just stopped in. They look at it as an open house, okay? So these guys aren't trying to steal any deals away from you. But what I can tell you is what they're doing in their model home is way more intense than an open house, okay? And I think as agents, a lot of times we look at this as an open house. Well, I can't go through. They're just going to tour through the model. No, what ends up happening if somebody is interested in a community, that turns into going through 30 floor plans with them, trying to figure out which homes fit on which lots, it goes on and on and on. They might spend 3 hours with this person on a Saturday. This isn't like an open house that somebody's just like, yeah, go wander through. You're great. You know, so just beware of that. And that's part of the reason that this is out here, because model home agents will spend 3 hours on a Saturday, and then maybe spend 2 hours the next Saturday, and then contract them. And then a week later, they get a call and they say, hey, you're working with my client. Put yourself in that situation. How would you be feeling? It's like, I don't know if they're your client, right? It doesn't seem like they are. So am I speaking out of turn? That sounds about right. Okay,
Can I
go
add
ahead,
something?
Dan.
I was just going to add that we love when a buyer comes in who's been working with an agent, whether or not you can be there. We're again happy to register you with your buyer as long as they tell us. And if you've prepped them that they're going to go out looking and you're not available, sometimes I meet a buyer and the first thing they say is, hi, I'm working with an agent. This is their name. That's okay. That's totally okay. Prep your buyers to do that. But we like when your buyer has been working with an agent because they've gone through a lot of steps to become more qualified and a better lead. So it's good for us to have you even send people, bring people. Yeah.
And it should be good that way. The other thing that I'll add to this is I would not fall into the trap of just sending your clients out and calling the model home agent saying, hey, by the way, this person might be coming. The reason for that, the conversation that takes place, especially in that first visit, is going to be very important for you as a realtor to be involved with for a few reasons. A, you're going to find out the types of homes that they like. You're going to think you know what these people like, and they're going to see 40 floor plans and start to think, oh, I like this, I like this, I like this. These are things you need to know. You're going to talk about lots and things like that. And if these guys know all of this and you're not involved in the conversation, you're all of a sudden going to start to look like you're not doing much for your client. You know, when the client calls you and they're like, well, yeah, remember, we've got this home on this lot and this, that, and the other, and we haven't been involved in that situation. It's like, oh, okay, that sounds great. You know, you don't know anything. You haven't even seen the lot. So don't fall into that trap of just sending them out because it seems like easy, because you're going to find your transaction's going to go better if you're involved, because you're going to know the conversations that have taken place. Okay.
Really quick to add to that, if you don't mind, just a few seconds. From an agent who represents a builder, I love nothing more than when an agent calls me up and says, hey, this is what my people are looking for. Do you have it or not? I would imagine that we're all in that same position where our goal as a model home agent is to either help you find what we have that best suits your needs, or help you realize that we don't have it. Because as that outside agent, you're throwing as many homes into that funnel as possible, and you want to get to the bottom. By speaking with us and calling us in advance and letting us know what they're looking for, we can help you very quickly avoid analysis paralysis, which we all agree is the worst thing in the world in working with any buyer in from any direction. But truly do lean on us. As was said, no builder wants to cut out an agent, because agents are fantastic and they're the lifeblood of all new construction. But the other hard thing is that, and put yourself in the seller position, I can tell you a few times where I've had an agent call me up 2 weeks after the fact, and I find out that they're the neighbor of the person who's buying, who had nothing to do with the transaction. And just as you selling your own home aren't super excited to pay something that's not necessary, that's how the builder feels. And most builders don't build 3% into their homes. Most builders build a very small amount. And from Ivory's perspective, we pay agents out of a marketing account. And whatever we end up paying marketing, or agents from a marketing perspective, doesn't end up going toward marketing, right? So when we're happy to do it, but remiss to pay it unnecessarily, right?
And the conversation can get really awkward if you're a model home agent. You've had somebody under contract for 2 weeks, and then you have to go to your builder and say, oh, hey, by the way, I'd like to put this agent on this contract. That conversation doesn't go very well with your manager because of that. I mean, yeah, it probably won't happen. Exactly. So,
and as a builder or as an agent also, sometimes I've seen outside agents blow up a deal because if they can't have it, nobody gets it, right? So be careful of that too. We have to remember, I mean, I've seen it from both sides of the perspective. Remember who we represent, and ultimately what our goal is to help as many people as we can. And as a result, we ourselves find the help that we need.
Perfect. Awesome. Let's jump forward. So then let's say they find what they want. They love it. You go to do a contract. Most big builders have their own contracts. Okay. Why? Anybody know why? Anybody have any ideas? Yeah, let's pass her a microphone. Can I steal that? Yes, you're going to be front and center.
Just that every builder is so different. And I know, like when I worked with the builder, our contract morphed over time from the experiences we had. And so like some of the clauses would be like, there's a story behind that clause. There's a reason that one's in there because something bit us at some point that had us add that into the contract. So I think everyone's different just based on their policies and the type of product that they're building.
Yeah. I think the MLS and the board, I don't know who did the new construction reps. They did a pretty good job. I mean, they updated a few years back. They did a pretty good job, and it works as a general piece. It works kind of for a smaller builder, if you will. The bigger builders are going to have so many things that don't really fit into that. Like just take, for example, warranty. Okay, just the warranty, the way the new construction rep spells out the warranty is not how their warranty is. In fact, their warranty is way more robust than what's in the new construction rep. Okay, so, and they might have a 210 warranty on top of it. That's not in the new construction rep. And Then they've got their design center policies and their procedures that way. And then they've got their title company, and then they've got all of these things. And before you know it, they have to add about 13 addenda to that contract. And it starts to get really annoying. And at that point, they just say, you know what? We've got to streamline this thing. We've got to have a contract that's catered to us. So that's why it's there. So don't feel like they're just trying to take advantage of you because they have their own repsy out there. It just is kind of the way that it is, right? It's necessary. Okay. With that being said, you're going to find that a lot of the verbiage in that contract is very similar. You're going to be really familiar with it. It's not going to be like they have stuff there. It's like, gosh, I've never heard of that. What is that? Typically, you're going to hear with it. So this is a good reason to have a good relationship with your model home agent as well, and make sure that they're walking through the contract. Typically, when you're doing a contract with the builder, you as an agent are going to sit here, your buyer's going to sit next to you, and the model home agent is going to take over that whole contract, and they're going to teach you everything in that. Okay, so you can be there, you can monitor all of that. If you have questions, you can voice your questions, your concerns, all of that, but they will walk you through it. Okay, they want everybody to have a happy transaction as well. They don't want surprises. So just don't be too scared about that contract. If you want to, sometimes if you know they're going to contract, call them and say, can you send me a blank contract just so I can review it before I go? So I know what I'm talking about, so I don't look like an idiot. You can do that. Along with that, and maybe this is a question for you guys, typically you have a little bit of time before any deposits go non-refundable, right? Not with all billers. I don't know about you guys. You might be non-refundable. Sometimes you have some time that you could actually take it and review it again and call after. But I think it's a good idea. If you know that a contract is going to take place, just contact them beforehand. Just say, hey, send me a blank one. Let me walk through it so I'm familiar with it. So some things to highlight with your builders. What are they buying? Okay, I know this sounds like a funny question, but people need to know what they're buying. Okay, the first thing I have there, standard features versus model home. Okay, make sure that your buyers aren't thinking that they're buying the model home. Okay, make sure that they know what the standard features are and what they're contracting on that day. Also, landscaping, things like that, is it included? The reason I put landscaping on here is because you get this concern a lot. People go to purchase, or they go to close on their home and they look at their lot and they say, so is all this going to be flattened out here? No. Okay, because you bought a house, right? You bought a house on a lot. When you're contracting in that situation, you're basically buying the build envelope in. And the build envelope is basically about 4 feet wider than your home on both sides and coming in from there. That's what you're purchasing. The rest is your lot and you get to do what you want with it. So I wouldn't be telling your buyers, oh yeah, everything will be flattened out. This will be ready. People want their lots basically landscape ready, even though landscaping isn't included, if that makes sense. Go ahead, Brent. Mm-hmm.
However, timing may be a little different, at least that's my experience.
Oh yeah.
Closed on a home, and it's middle of the winter, obviously.
For sure. Weber County right now is putting restrictions on new sod. Okay. I'm working with Heidi now. They include sod with purchase. Probably going to have to delay that 12 months. Because Weber County is putting restriction on watering, right? So stuff like that is important that people know, but they need to know what they're buying, like fencing, typically not included, okay? But things like that, these are little things that you might assume, oh yeah, people get this, but then they go to the closing table and they're like, so when's my fence going in? Well, it's not. That's a big deal. If they thought a fence was going in, that's a big deal. That's a $10,000 deal right there. Okay, so make sure they're very clear on what they're buying. Deposits, how much? When are they due? Okay, when are they non-refundable? These are things that are really, really important that they know. Okay, going on deadlines. What's the pre-qualification deadline? When do they need to make this happen? When do they need their selections finalized? When's their closing deadline? These are all things that are really, really important. So even though we may not know the builder contract, all these things are going to be in there. right? These are all important things for a builder. So be looking at that. So we get them under contract and then we're like, ooh, are we gonna get paid on this? Right? How are we gonna get paid here? So this is big. I put it in red and yellow when it's a big thing, okay? As realtors, the only time that we are guaranteed a commission with it not being in writing is if it is on the MLS. Okay, that ties broker to pay a commission, right? So with that being said, builders do not list all their properties on the MLS, okay? And when they do post a property on the MLS, it might be a to be built. You might go in there with your client on this house and they might choose a different floor plan. Guess what? The MLS now isn't for that house, right? It's entirely different, okay? So my recommendation to you is when you contract, make sure there's a commission agreement in place. Unless you're buying a spec home that is listed on the MLS, everything else should have some sort of a commission agreement. Now, most builders with their own contracts will have something to handle that. If they don't, you can do escrow instructions from the MLS, okay? But most builders will, but that's just one thing to note, okay? Much more production builders usually have this taken care of. If you go with a custom builder, whoa, you got to make sure you know what's going on. The quotes that are coming back don't include your commission. Okay, so you got to know what's going on there. Okay. Preferred lenders, jump into this real quick. Why do builders have preferred lenders? Any thoughts? Go ahead.
Because they've done this a million times and they know the people and how to get them through any problems. They know how to just make it nice and smooth. And sometimes they're partners with their lending company. And if they can, get, give some incentives because they'll be getting profit in another way, that's good for the client as well.
Right. So the easiest way for me to explain this is builders have preferred lenders for the same dang reason that you have preferred lenders. Okay. Why do you guys send people to certain lenders? Because you know the deal's going to get done, right? Builders need that assurity also. Okay. Keep in mind, delays cost builders money. Delays in closing cost builders money. They do not want this. They want somebody that can hold their feet to the fire and is going to get that deal done. Okay. I won't harp too much on that. But here's a question. Do you have to use their preferred lender? No, you don't. Okay. However, what do you risk by not using the preferred lender? This is a big one. I will tell you right now, there are very few clients that I end up financing through an outside lender when I'm in new construction. And the reason for it is my own fiduciary to that client. Okay. Here's something to consider. Okay. You're at the end, you're ready to close. Okay. Your lender doesn't get the appraisal in on time. You've got a deadline that you have to close by a certain date. It's usually based by your certificate of occupancy. You have to close so many days after that. Your lender can't perform. Guess what? You're about to be in breach of contract. What's going to happen if you're in breach of contract? Remember those deposits we talked about? See you later. Especially in a market like this right now, when you have a builder that could potentially turn around and sell that home for $50,000 to $100,000 more than you're contracted, there are builders that are going to look for those loopholes, right? I don't like the stress of that. I don't like the idea of thinking, whoo, this could blow up after I help somebody for 12 months. This could blow up in the 11th hour here. I don't like the idea of that. Now, with that being said, I still tell my people to go shop it. You know, if their preferred lender is just not a good deal, then it's not a good deal, right? Then there's still places that we can go, but I wouldn't completely discount their preferred lender. In fact, like I say, most of the time I use that preferred lender. Any questions, thoughts that way? We'll keep.
Especially on, I found outside lenders, especially on condominiums, it's very scary territory. A lot of times they we really don't know what they can close on till the very end, and they found that there's overlays that the lending is, whoever's providing the money is put on. They don't find that out till they're in underwriting, and you're a week away from closing, and they'll tell me, oh, we can't close on this condo.
Yeah.
So, got a client, and you take any of these bills, I would go with the preferred lender when it's a condo, no matter what. Don't even question it.
The
Yeah.
last few days of a new build is very different from the last few days of an existing
Where's the
build.
microphone?
There's final inspections that typically need to be done by the appraiser that you aren't necessarily used to in the existing market. So every time there's an outside lender, I oftentimes want to talk to them well in advance because every outside lender tries really hard to do a single appraisal. But that appraisal needs to be done so far in advance that a second inspection will happen. So the appraiser, the outside lender that tries very hard to just do a single one oftentimes will almost always, unfortunately, delay closing. And they're trying to be the hero by saving that buyer a few $100s, right? But unfortunately, what will happen is it will make a mess. And that's another reason why builders love preferred lenders, because that lender knows exactly how the builder wants to close, the title company, the process, make sure it's done. When something goes bad with a builder, or excuse me, when something goes bad with a lender, like you'd mentioned, it's not just the lender that looks bad, it's the builder that looks bad, it's the buyer's agent looks bad, it's the seller's agent looks bad. It's hard for a buyer to delineate that it's just the lender's issue on that. And very often, or very seldom, do I find lenders who are willing to, or anybody who's willing to raise their hand and go, my bad, guys, sorry, right?
Right.
So it just makes the whole
That's
process
always
worth it.
another reason. And they'll quickly say, oh, well, the builder didn't have this or that or the other to me. Typically what it runs into is they didn't order an appraisal on time and therefore were unable to produce the CD on time. And therefore everything is a mess. Okay. So think about that. That goes into title companies. Builders all have their own title companies. We won't go too deep into that, but I'll just tell you right now, don't fight it. There's a reason for that. And the biggest reason, in my opinion, is mechanics liens. Okay. Subcontractors will lien a property until they get paid. And sometimes they're slow to get those liens off. If it's an outside title company, they're not going to let you close on that until those liens are cleared up. The builder's preferred title company knows how they work. If there's a lingering lien or things like that, they're still going to be able to make that happen. Okay. Design center, if applicable. We're going to run through these quick. Sorry, we're taking a lot of time here, but you got to make sure your clients know what to expect there. This is a big question for you. Should you go as an agent to the design center? Okay. We have a yes. Any no's? Brian?
I think sometimes they get that on the low where they feel like they have to, sorry, can you guys hear me? They feel like they have to themselves. And maybe I'm speaking out of turn. I hope not, but sometimes, I don't know, would the builders agree that sometimes in some situations, it's better that the agents are a little quieter and don't say as much and it's still going to be okay? Is that?
Mhm.
Like I'm yelling.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. At the end of the day, we want everybody to be happy, and they have a certain amount of time typically at the design studio. We set appointments. Again, I said we went to all spec homes, so we don't even have a design studio before. But before, we just prefer that the agent didn't go. It's 3 to 5 hours out of their day, a couple days. And really, I mean, it's not our decision, right? As outside agents to decide what goes in somebody's home. Sometimes agents want to be there. I think you were trying to say to maybe be the hero, or what were you saying?
Well, I just mentioned that sometimes as agents, I've seen this. I'd like to say I'm not one that does
Yeah.
this. I try to be quiet.
Yeah.
And just chime in if they ask me something
Sure.
specific. But yeah, they try to prove themselves. at a
And I've heard
design
that
center.
from the designers. And again, it wasn't so much about that. It's more about the right thing for your client. And we just feel like having, not having the agents there. So we politely ask that the agents don't attend.
Yeah.
And usually they're very happy about that.
Yeah, I think for me, it depends. And I think it depends on your business and what's going on. Me personally, I don't go for those reasons. I don't want them blaming me on their wall color. I don't want anything to do with that, right? I want that to be 100% their decision on stuff. And it's a long time. You're going to be sitting there. If you're sitting back and not contributing your opinions, which you shouldn't, you're going to be sitting there a long, long, long time. Okay. And you're going to be saying, I could be doing this, that, or the other. There's just one caveat that I would put on this, and that's the next one. Do not allow your clients to sign off until they have verified all of their selections. Yeah.
I try to drive by all the properties that are being built that I have under contract. And I can see like, oh, that stone you picked is coming up. It looks so wonderful. Or "Oh, that's not the stone you picked. I'm going to go call the sales rep and talk to them. Just so I know what their expectations are. Because if I don't know what they picked and what they want, I
Right.
have a hard time helping on that side of the process, but I'm not going to pick it for them. I'll just politely agree with
Right.
whatever terrible taste they might have.
Yep. And that's why I say it kind of depends, because this part is super, super important. And this is probably the part that causes the most problems in builds. Is you will work with clients, they'll say, I don't think I chose that tile. And you'll say, but it's here and your signature's here. Well, I know, but I didn't choose that one. Okay. Typically, this is what happened. Nobody's perfect out there. This is what happens in the design center. They go and they pick out and they have this tile here and they say, yeah, this tile looks really great and this, that, and the other. And so the designer will write it down, tile here. Then they'll be looking and they'll stop and they'll say, oh, we hadn't seen that tile. That's a pretty cool tile, isn't it? Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, but we're picking a faucet over here. Oh, and then they're over here. So now in their mind, they've shifted to this tile. The designer has written down the other tile and they don't verify it. So the best thing you can do as an agent is make sure that they don't make the assumption at the end that they hand them this big packet of things that they've chosen and they just sign off on it. That's the worst thing that can happen. Take your time, say, go back through it, make sure everything is the way that you want it, and then sign it. Because once you have signed it, that becomes the Bible. Okay, that is what everybody works off of. Go ahead.
Just to add on to that, I mean, it will help you, your model home agents, everybody will love you. Your builder will love you if you do that. And maybe just get a picture of it, because you know what, on that final walkthrough, I mean, that's like, you don't want to wait till the final walkthrough to say, oh, that was supposed to be the crackle tile and not the, bland tile, whatever. So if you come out the hero right away, and these guys come out a hero too. So anyway, I'm just gonna say it's such a big deal, but take a picture. I'm just gonna say I did warranty for new construction, and I'll have to tell you, yes, I know. Tell me. So anyway, so yeah, that's like, I mean, and so much emotion goes into those colors and all of that. So
Yep.
take a picture of it. Have your client, if you're not going to be there, have your client or the design center person. Here's your palette. These are the names, like handwrite it on there. And then make
Take
sure
a picture of the
they put it on
samples there.
So,
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, the biggest thing and what I want to say on that is just lots going on. There's a lot of things that are moving quickly with new construction. Don't let your selections be one of them. The selections, you need to be able to pump the brakes and say, whoo, is this right? Because this is as serious as a heart attack. It's as serious as you can get in the design center. Those are the instructions you're publishing, okay, to build that house. And people need to understand that. So, which leads us into our next thing, change orders. Right? Does everybody know what a change order is? Okay, yeah, that's what most all of us will say, unfortunately. Guess what? The builders will say the same thing. Unfortunately, we know what they are, okay? A lot of people say, my goodness, $350 for a change order. You guys are killing me. You're just ripping me off. Question for the builders. Would you rather charge $350 or not have a change order? Yeah.
We lose money typically on change orders because now we have two sets of paperwork out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reality is a builder, a good builder allows it because we do realize that things change. And sometimes there are certain things that can be done midway through the process that can never be redone. But yeah, year over year, we typically lose money on change orders because we've now agreed to do something. And unfortunately, we have two sets of paperwork out there. And when the wrong one goes in, then it's at our cost to put the correct one in. So, and that's spoken of, you know, in general for all of us.
Yep.
And we don't do change orders anymore just because we're more like an existing home. So we put that home available about 45 days before completion. Everything's been ordered. It's a dream.
Yeah.
It really is.
It
So
is. This is why you
my
see
days
so
of
many
change
builders
orders
trying to be spec
are
builders.
over.
Yeah, so they don't have to deal with it. I know we're up against time. If anybody needs to leave, you're not going to offend me. But we'll just kind of run through this. So change orders. This is who a change order can affect. One single change order, okay? Sales agent, superintendent, design center, purchasing, supplier, subcontractor, scheduling, and lending. It can affect all of these people for one simple change order, what appears simple, okay? So you have that client, their home's halfway through, drywall just went up and they say, ooh, I think I want to change my paint color. Seems simple enough, right? Paint's not on the wall, you know, what do they have to do? Just drop in another droplet of black and it will darken it up, but it seems really simple. It's not simple, okay? What he talked about, version control is huge because now you've published out to everybody, subcontractors and everything, it's going to be this color. Now you need to go change that color. It's not as simple as taking your cans of paint down to Lowe's and having them change the tint on it. It's going to affect all of these people. And if one of those people drops the ball, it doesn't happen. And if it doesn't happen, then the builder has signed off that they will do it. So guess what the builder has to do now? They have to go redo it. They hate it. They hate change orders. If you guys, again, going back to don't let people sign off until they know for sure, and then just set the expectation, we're not changing this house. And I'm telling you this because I'm your agent and I'm representing you. You don't want to change this house. Okay, so get it right the first time. Yep.
So you're sitting there, you're with the sales agent, and there's a particular feature or part of the house that they kind of need to think about
Mhm.
because they aren't sure what they want. So how do you educate them so that they have that mindset? Like when you need to make the decision and not change it, but you've got the sales agent breathing down their neck saying, well, if you don't sign the paper now, then you're not going to have the house tomorrow. Like where are you at?
I
in
think you
that?
bring up a good point there. And this is something that we run into a lot in new construction is it's funny. You'll have people, and we'll get into this actually in a minute, but you'll have people that take forever to finalize in the design center. Okay. Let me guarantee you one thing about that person. When they finally finalize, they're going to turn to you and they're going to say, why is this taking so long? It's like, what do you mean? Like you just finalized yesterday. Well, yeah, but we've been doing this design center stuff for 4 weeks. We can't do anything until you're finalized, right? So it's that education again. You don't want them to sign off unless they know for sure, but they've got to know anything they delay is going to cost them, particularly time. And there are deadlines to be finalized. They can't just be waiting for people to finalize for 6 months. There's deadlines. Sometimes you have to force people to make a decision. Choose between two good things, right? They're typically not choices between a bad thing and a good thing. You just got to choose between two good things. Build schedules. Builders will not guarantee a build schedule. Why? Exactly. Yeah. There's so many unknowns in it. They're going to do the best they can, but there's so many unknowns in it. You need to educate your clients about this, okay? If they're renting, okay, you need to talk about month-to-month rentals. Is your landlord going to allow you to go month to month if this gets delayed? You need to be prepared for this because this is a real possibility, especially in our market. Material shortages are real and they're huge right now. Go try to buy concrete right now. I dare you.
I'm waiting right now.
Right? See?
Got 2 bids yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Also just planning for like the worst case scenario and then still planning for an even worse case because whenever someone can set the expectation that, you know, oh, well, it could be this short of a time period, it's always better to, oh, it's possible, but we're gonna plan for the
Yep.
longer time period.
Yeah. here's something that I'll add to that, okay? There is something about builders and especially superintendents, okay? Because nobody wants to deliver bad news, okay? So when you ask a superintendent, when do you think it's going to be done? For whatever reason, they always revert to best case scenario. And best case scenario never happens, ever, ever, ever. So they'll say, gosh, I think we'll have this done the end of June. And the home actually finishes in August. It wasn't that they were trying to mislead. They're just thinking, yeah, I think we can make this happen. And then life happens, right? Life happens and it's like, oh, crud, you know? So you as agents, it's really important that you prep your people and you say, you know, and prep your people to where their information is coming from. Because if they're talking to a superintendent, they're going to get this story. If they're talking to somebody else, they're getting this story. You just really need to prep them and say, look, you might hear dates out there. I'm just telling you, don't plan the movers, okay? Do not schedule the movers. We'll be able to schedule the movers about 2 weeks out, maybe. That's about the only time that they're going to start to feel comfortable about things. Go
Hey,
ahead.
John, real quick, something that I like to use, and it's been very, very successful in the past, is I like to say, I want you to be financially ready by this date, but I want you to be emotionally ready by this date for this date. And I let them know that those dates can change too, but that way they know that financially we need to be prepared, but emotionally there's a really, really good chance
Right,
that we're going farther out,
right.
right? And that's helped people grasp. And it's a soft way to say it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you'll want to be financially ready here in August, but I want you to be emotionally ready in October.
Yeah. Perfect. Here's what we can, this is the only thing we really have control over from our side of things, from the buyer side of things. This is how we can help the build schedule. Okay. Get pre-approved quickly so they can get things rolling. Finalize your design center quickly so they can start to order things, and avoid change orders, because the change orders are going to delay your build as well. That's really the only thing that you can do to speed this up. And you need your clients to know that. And it's not even speeding it up, that's keeping it on schedule, right? Yep.
Everything's here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
go ahead.
on that, it's also important that when you talk to your clients that change orders are requests for changes. Typically, the builder still has the right to say, gosh, those shingles are on the way, right? We can't change those. So I've had some agents prepare the buyer that they could make that, and the buyer was confident in it. When they came back, unfortunately, I had to let them know, and it was shingles most recently, that those are on the truck and those are going to be here today.
Yeah.
So,
And guess what? Even if they're not on the truck, they've been ordered for 3 months and in backlog. You want to start that over again? You know, you want to start that backlog over again? You want to go to the back of the line on those shingles you've been waiting for 3 months to come in? You don't want to do that. Go ahead.
Something else to keep in mind, especially about delays with the builder, is that the builder's number one goal is to finish the home as quickly as possible. The last thing they want is a delay, the absolute last thing, especially the last thing at the very end. Financially, it's in their best interest to finish it sooner than later. So
Yep.
it's never going to be their choice to have to delay something.
Yeah, this is one people don't realize, or one thing people don't realize is most production builders are carrying the cost of that loan. Your clients aren't going out and getting a construction loan, right? So they're carrying the cost. With buyers, it doesn't compute. Okay, like if they're delaying closing, in their mind, they're saying, well, what's the big deal? You're not having to send any workers or anything out there, right? We're fine, we'll get this closed. No, they're sitting on that home on a construction loan, which doesn't come cheap, and they're paying daily interest on it, right? And everything else, right? They want that baby closed. You know, I always tell my people, you know, especially when we're working with production builders, I'm like, look, if a builder calls me and says, I'm sorry, your home is delayed, they're as upset about it as you are. They just lost money on that home. Okay. So don't be thinking, oh, that dirty builder, right? They're losing money. Okay. They want that baby closed as well. Construction access really quickly. Well, this is a big one. How often should your client go access their home when it's under construction? Let's just be real about it. Okay. Because I can tell you what the buyer's thinking. Yeah. The buyer wants to be there every day. Okay.
I have a buyer who's an
Oh, boy.
And she started having from the construction site, like every day, she'd go live from the site with my house. And then fans started figuring out where it was and it started having fans drive by.
Gosh.
Like, you have to shut it down.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I don't want anybody to know where I live, 'cause now I'm gonna have stalker issues. It was a whole thing.
Right.
She was probably there every single day.
Okay, what's the problem with that? I mean, they're excited about a home, right? What's the problem with them going there every day? Really?
Ugly some days.
Yeah.
There's liability. I'm sure the builder, doesn't want somebody getting injured. Nobody wants somebody getting injured. And two, there's things that they'll see that the builder's already aware of that are going to get resolved, but the buyer, in their mind, they want it fixed like right at that moment. They don't understand there's a whole process, to get a subcontractor back in there and things like that.
Mhm.
So the expectation is just off.
That's probably the biggest thing right there. And that's what's going to cause hiccups in these transactions. Okay. Buyers are trained, programmed, getting into new construction. They are programmed that the builder is out to get them, right? Because that's what everybody's told them. Everybody always hears the bad experiences that are out there with new construction. Rarely does somebody sit down to the dinner table and they're like, oh yeah, ours went perfect, went smooth. No, it's like, let me tell you about this, because everybody wants to be, have a worse story than the next guy. So people are programmed to think, they're programmed to think I'm going to get taken advantage of. And so they're always on the lookout for when that's going to happen. Okay. And they walk into the house and a wall has been put where it isn't supposed to be. And the superintendent is probably well aware of this. Okay. But they look at it and they say, whoop, there it is. Everybody was right. They're all out to get me. And they call you and they're like, this is so stupid. Da 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 da. And you're like, okay, let me call. You call the agent and the agent calls the super. He's like, yeah, framers are coming tomorrow. What's the big deal? That person is already worked up. They're not going to get by that. Even if you call them back and say, yeah, no big deal. They're always going to have that there. That's that little piece of, oh, it's a souring part of the transaction. Okay. So as much as you can, and I know buyers are wily, they're going to do their things, but as much as you can kind of control those things, okay, then it's actually going to help their overall experience, because those things can be addressed before they see them. Or if it's going to be there, you can alert them before they see it. Right? So reach out to your model home agent. They might reach out to the superintendent. Hey, is it okay if somebody comes through the house? Yeah, it's okay. But so you know, the cabinets are in the garage, they're the wrong color. The new ones are coming. Then you can make that call and say, hey, so you know, the cabinets in the garage, don't worry about them. Right? Go ahead.
And you're their first point of contact, right? So they call you at the moment that they're most upset. How you react to that situation completely sets the tone. Like I try to set the expectation from the beginning, like things are going to happen. It's not always going to be perfect, but this is how we said we're going to build your house. So it's how we're going to build your house. And sometimes we're going to have to fix things. So if you can just kind of remain the like calm,
Yep.
neutral voice, it will help so much. And it's not that you're not on their side. It's that you know what reality is. And so you're helping them see that.
Right.
So,
Yep. It's all about perspective. You need to be the wise guide. Okay. You can't expect them to know how this works.
I know we're out of time, but quick question for the builders. So as agents, we'll be getting those calls and those things. What I've tried to do is kind of compile a list and maybe once a week, send that in. Do you like that? What on the builder side, how often do you want us, passing things on? I'm sure you don't want a daily, not that would happen necessarily, but
I'll answer first and then I'll pass the microphone. I am totally okay with just hey, we saw this and send a picture. And then I can say, okay, I'll pass it on to the superintendent and then maybe check in with you later and follow up on multiple things that you might have sent. But you can send it in real time. That's okay. Sometimes by the time you told me, it's already fixed. So
So I set up a group text with the builder, myself, you, the builder, and he will provide Friday updates. And so the dialogue can take place there, but the builder does not want, they're busy. They got 25 homes or whatever they're managing. So
I've tried
they
to do
won't
it at-
respond, and then the buyers get frustrated because not immediate response in today's culture. so-
Most I try to do is weekly. I
Yeah.
try to minimize it.
Yeah. Keep communication open. That's always a good thing. Um,
I
Did-
know we're impressed. So two things. I think it depends. If it's a buyer, there are some buyers who come to their home monthly or don't show up until it's done. I always tell people that your home is like your kids. If you look at them every day, you see no progress, right? They didn't grow, right? But if you're gone for a few weeks and their hair's longer and they've grown an inch or whatever it might be. So you have to ask yourself how you want to watch your kid or your house grow. As far as notifications on problems, if it's an issue, I want to know about it right away. Because the longer they keep it inside, especially if it's a big issue, the longer they keep it in the side, the more worked up they are. But if
mhm.
it's that buyer who sends you a spreadsheet every other day, I ask for a weekly, right? If you're worried that outlet's in the wrong spot and that the tile hasn't shown up yet, but you're sure it's going to be wrong, I'm happy for you to send me a weekly list of concerns. The other thing that I would say is that when you do see an issue, this is super important in my opinion. The superintendents are human, right? And they have a lot. Builders are builders, but the people who really build that home is the construction superintendent. And every builder has amazing ones, and every builder has those that are struggling a little bit. The superintendent has a lot of control. So the buyer who goes to the superintendent and asks him where his eyes are and what's wrong with him and how can he be so stupid, the reality is that he has a parameter of an expectation for him, and that buyer may have just gone a little bit lower on that list, right? But if you're kind, we want to do things for people who are nice to us and kind to us. Always start with 2 kind things that you like about the house, and then don't say you're an idiot, you did it wrong. Say, hey, tell me a little bit more about this wall that looks like it might be out of place, right? Give them the opportunity to be the hero before you paint them as the villain. And that goes for every element that works into the home, whether it's the lender, whether it's the superintendent, whether it's the agent, whether it's the builder, whether it's the escrow officer. Everyone is here. We all do what we do to be the hero, right? We love what we do, but being attacked instantly makes it so maybe we're a little bit less excited to make that call to you next time. We all treat
Right.
everyone professionally, but that's
Mhm.
just a natural thing inside.
That's natural. That's human. One quick question. Whose house is this during construction? It's the builder's house, right? So if you have that client that it's like, I can go anytime I want, this is my house. It's like, actually, it's not. You don't have a construction loan on it, right? You haven't paid anything but a deposit for it right now. And technically in their contract, most builders' contracts will have something addressing construction access, okay? If people get too crazy about it, they can just call that part of the contract, say you're in violation of contract, we're canceling you. Right? So they don't want to, but it's there for that person that's just crazy like that. I'm telling you, your life will work a lot more smoothly if you set some expectations with people and you say, hey, this is when we're going to go look at the house. We're not going to look at the house during this time, and this is the reason. A, we don't want to be bothering the people there. We don't want to be bothering the workers. This is what I always use in construction, and this is true, so it's not a lie, okay? Most subcontractors' insurance says if there is a buyer on site, somebody not under them on site, they have to stop what they're doing. They can't work, right? Most people don't follow that, but that's what their insurance says they need to do. So what do you think their bosses are telling them? So if you have somebody that's stopping there every day, say, I'll tell you what, if you do this, you're going to slow the construction of your house. You just do. So let's set up times that it makes sense. Let's watch our kid grow, instead of daily, weekly or bi-weekly or whatever it is. Okay. We won't beat that horse anymore. Construction sites are dangerous. This is the big one. Not a place for your kids. Okay. Don't let the kids run around the house. I had a buddy, new construction. They went in to view a house. Mom had a little kid there. The kid stepped into an open heater vent, got the sheet metal from his ankle to his shin, skinned everything off. It was a ride to the emergency room. Seems like nothing can happen. It can happen. If you have clients with kids and they insist on their kids, this is what I would always do. You need to hold that kid's hand the whole time. The whole time. Because that kid's going to run as soon as he gets in there, right? Okay. Handling construction concerns. We'll go through this really quickly. We talked about how buyers are conditioned. This is what I would recommend. You as an agent, we'll hit this really quickly. You as an agent, if you see something that looks amiss to you on the house, don't bring it up initially in front of your clients. Okay? If you're walking through and you see it, it's like, I don't think that's right. Don't bring it up initially in front of the client. Why? It's not that we want to hide anything from the client. We don't want to insert any sourness into the client if there's not necessary sourness to be inserted there, if that makes sense, right? So note it. When you get done, call up your agent, call Brady and say, hey, Brady, listen, when I was walking through the house, I saw this thing. Can you look into that? Is that normal? Is this right? You know, Brady will be happy to call the superintendent. Superintendent might say, no, it's not right. I'm working on it. Or the superintendent might say, yeah, that's how it is. Okay. If that's how it is, and that's how things work, okay, because there's different ways of building things. Not everything is done just like the house before. If it's right and it qualifies for code and everything, then it's right. Even though you might have done it a different way when you were 10 years ago, it might be right. So talk to the agent. If there is a problem, you can address it. Now your next call is a hero call to your client that says, hey, by the way, when I was in your home, I noticed this. No big deal. I've already reached out to the agent. This is what's happening. You're the hero. You're looking out for their best interest. How much better is that than, hey, did you see that? I got to look into that. That just bad to me. And then they drive home and they're like, was that bad? I think that was bad. Seems bad. House is going to fall over. That's bad. You know, so just have a good relationship there with your model home agent and use that. And like I say, we're not trying to hide anything, but let's make sure that it is a problem before we make it a problem. Okay. Any questions there? What are construction variances? Do you guys know? Have you heard that before? Construction variances. This can mean a lot of different things. One of the things is homes are all done by individuals. A wall might be a ½ inch this way or this way from plan. This is the reason that builders will never give you a full set of plans, because they don't want somebody in there pulling tapes on everything saying this is a ½ inch off. There's construction variances that are allowed in the industry. If you're inside variance, it's not going to be a problem at all. Okay. Other variances that can happen, like somebody chooses a particular granite countertop. No two slabs of granite are alike. It might look a little bit different than the one they looked at in the design center. But if it's from the same quarry, that falls in that construction variance. Do you have a question?
And a lot of times that variance is actually set by the trade. So it's not even a builder who's like, this is this or this. It's the trade who says, we'll do it within this variance.
Yep. Perfect. And kind of wrapping up here. So the final walk, you get to the final walk. The one thing I will suggest is just remind yourself, this is my client's house. It's not my house. Okay. You're there to make sure the contract is enforced. You're not there to say, that looks like a paint chip. I'd look at that. Okay. Let your clients do that, right? It's their house. What's acceptable to them might be different than you. It's their house. Let them do it. Now, obviously, if you see something that's blatant, you know, you don't want to let that slide. But you've got to know that a lot of agents come into that final walkthrough and it should be a very positive experience. That should be so exciting. The house is done and the agents just poo-poo all over it. Oh man, what about this? Oh, what about this? What about this? And the clients leave the house going, why did we buy that house? Holy cow. And they were happy before they got there, right?
It's those agents who think they have something to prove, and they'll blue tape everything to show that they have value, and it's like, don't be one of those agents.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Right. Do you know what a punch list is? A punch list is something that's done at the final walkthrough. If there are things that need to be addressed, they're going to put it on a punch list. Why do they do a punch list? Because Closing cannot be delayed for punch list items, which means these are not items that you can hold up closing for, okay? These are things the inspector's already signed off on this house. He's given a certificate of occupancy. As soon as that certificate of occupancy is in place, the builder wants that baby closed. And we've talked about that, okay? So if there's a paint chip or a missing handle on a missing pole on a cabinet door or something like that, you're gonna have those clients that are gonna say, I'm not gonna close on it. Not till all that stuff is fixed. Well, what if that handle is delayed a month? Which can really happen, one simple thing. Oh, I'm not gonna close on it. We're just gonna hold it up in escrow. No, their contract's not gonna allow that. You need to go ahead and close on that house. But the reason that you have a punch list is the punch list survives closing. It's not like the real estate contract that is basically done at closing. This survives closing. This is their guarantee to say, yes, we know it's there. Yes, we're addressing it. We'll get to it as soon as we can. Most builders want that punch list done before you ever move in because they don't want to have to schedule through you to get subcontractors into the house. But there are those times that it's not going to happen. Something might be on back order or something like that. So just don't set the expectation with your clients. Oh yeah, we'll just hold it closed until this baby's perfect. Like, well, if you tell them that, they might lose the house because the contract doesn't allow that. Okay. So don't get yourself into trouble on that. And then the last thing, when will my home be done? Okay. The reason that I brought this up is you're asking the wrong question, because this question right here has 3 answers. Okay. These are 3 answers. They all satisfy that question. When will my house be done? If you're talking to a superintendent, you ask him, when will my house be done? He's saying, when is my job? When am I passing this home off? That is when the certificate of occupancy is in place and his punch list items are done. Okay. That might be, when are we final walk in the house? You know, you might talk to the agent and say, oh, well, the house will be done and ready to final walk on such and such a date. Okay. What does the client care about? When can I move in? That's the question the client is asking. Okay. So be careful with that, because I've had it happen multiple times with outside agents that people schedule movers for their final walkthrough date because the house is done. And then it's like, whoa, you're still a week out from closing. I can't be a week out from closing. It's done and I've already got movers there, you know? So just know what you're asking. Ask the right questions. Know who you're talking to. So I would change your vocabulary to just say, when can my clients move in? Because the other dates don't really matter all that much. So that's really the end of it. Go sell some homes. Anybody have questions or anything you want to bring up? Good. Yeah, thank you so much to the builders. This is, I think, really, really helpful. And I hope that we can all help to avoid some pitfalls that don't have to be pitfalls. You'll notice what we talked about here. We haven't changed anything in the build process. Everything remained the same, but our approach has changed to it. And if our approach and our expectations change, now we can have happy clients at the end of the day. And now we're the professionals, right? And then they're going to want to come back to us. So, and that's the ultimate goal, right? So builders, you're welcome to stick around and chat. Do you have stuff? I think builders have a bunch of stuff here. So anything you think I've missed, builders, we should touch on?
That was good.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, no worries. Yeah, Dave's kind of, you know, up there. Yeah, it's solid. Brian Ebert? Yeah, like this one. Oh, that's an easier name. So how do you know Dave?